Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty cutting edge, using large language models, LLMs, and, well, as sort of digital super commentators.
Right, specifically for looking into those biblical topics or figures that are maybe overlooked or just obscure.
And the idea, our mission here, is really to see how this tech can give us a shortcut, a way to spot subtleties, often lost in translation, right?
Exactly. Lost or just flattened out in standard English versions. It's about recovering some of that original texture.
So, okay, LLMs are powerful, but lots of computers can crunch data. What's the specific superpower here in this context?
It's really about holding complexity. Think about it. A human translator eventually has to pick one English word.
Right, they make a choice.
But the LLM, it can process all the linguistic, historical, cultural context at, well, incredible speed. And it shows you the whole spectrum of possible meanings for that original word.
It maps out the options the translator was wrestling with.
Precisely, based on the actual context in the text.
Okay. But doesn't that risk, I don't know, overcomplicating things? Maybe making it seem more complex than it felt to the original audience?
That's a fair question, but I think it actually illuminates the richness that was already there. Take contextual word mapping.
Okay.
Consider a Hebrew word like tzedek. You see it translated as righteousness, sometimes justice, sometimes even vindication.
All related, but definitely different shades of meaning.
Exactly. So the LLM can scan every single time tzedek appears. And for a specific verse, it might say, okay, based on the verbs around it, the genre, maybe even the flow of the argument, here are the top 3 most likely nuances.
So it shows you the translator's dilemma, but with data.
Right. It highlights the layers that were present before that final single word choice had to be made.
Wow. That really underscores the work scholars did manually for generations just to surface those options.
Absolutely. And it's especially powerful, I think, when you move past the big, famous concepts or figures.
Is it really minor stuff? Or maybe traditional commentaries are a bit thin.
Exactly. Think about obscure figures or rare terms, like teraphim usually just gets translated as household idols.
Yeah, sounds straightforward. Pagan statues or something.
But the LLM can cross-reference that term with extra biblical stuff, like the ancient Nutsi texts.
Okay, what do they add?
Well, the Nutsi texts have records about ancient family law, and they show teraphim were often linked to, like, inheritance rights. Who gets the family property?
Whoa. Okay, so that's not just religious. That's legal, political.
It adds a whole dimension that household idols just completely misses. That's the synthesis power.
Okay, this sounds incredibly powerful,
Yeah.
which of course leads to the risks. We need to unpack the dangers here.
Definitely. There are 2 big ones we really need to flag.
Number 1.
Theological bias. It's subtle, but it's baked in. LLMs train on the internet, right?
Right, massive amounts of text.
And that text carries all sorts of modern biases. Secular viewpoints, specific denominational interpretations, they all get absorbed into the model.
So it might subtly steer an interpretation, like maybe reading ancient spiritual concepts through a modern, more materialist lens.
It could, yeah. It might lean towards metaphor over literal readings for things like, say, grace or resurrection, just because of the skew in its training data. It's not intentional, it's just pattern matching on biased input.
Okay, that's a big watch out. And the second danger.
The classic AI problem, confabulation, or, hallucination.
Making stuff up.
Pretty much. It can just invent scriptural references that don't exist or give completely wrong linguistic definitions, especially for those really obscure terms where its training data is thin, it tries to fill the gap, but it guesses wrong.
So how do we use this power responsibly then?
It absolutely demands what we've started calling the dual-layer approach.
Yiming.
Meaning you must treat the LLM output as, like, raw data, hypothesis generation, initial analysis, never ever the final word or interpretation.
The human expert is still essential.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable.
Absolutely non-negotiable. That's the second layer. Verification. We need a human reviewer applying a kind of confidence score.
How does that work?
You rate the LLM's claims, high confidence if, multiple proper scholarly sources back it up, medium if it seems plausible but needs more debate, and low if it looks like unsupported guesswork, or worse, that confabulation stuff.
So the human checks the homework rigorously.
Turns the LLM into a very sophisticated research assistant, not an oracle.
Okay, so summing this up then. LLMs aren't replacing scholars or deep study.
Not at all. They're augmenting them, superpowering them maybe. moving us beyond just looking up words in a dictionary.
Towards a more holistic, contextual analysis of the text, seeing the whole forest, not just individual trees.
That's a good way to put it, but we always need to keep the distinction clear. It's a tool for aggregation, correlation, finding patterns in existing data.
It's not a source of spiritual truth. It doesn't have theological authority.
Exactly. That remains firmly in the realm of human interpretation, faith, and community.
Which leaves us with a really interesting final thought for you, the listener. If these tools can flag subtle textual variations, things like linguistic shifts, that might suggest different authors within one book, maybe like in the genealogies in Genesis.
Things that took scholars centuries to debate.
Right. If an LLM spots that almost instantly, how does that speed change the way we think about assigning authority to any single interpretation, even a purely human one?
Yeah.
Something to ponder.